Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Today is October 20th, 2016, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is time for our closing bell presentation with us here today. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Josh Levitan. I am one of Fausto's day trading instructors here with CTU. Let me just get a quick sound check so I know everybody can hear us loud and clear. All right, perfect. Great to see everybody back here again, and a lot of our students with us here today as well. I see Alice, James, Ted, Ben, Jeffrey, a lot of us here with us today as well. I see a few students as well, Leda, Todd, Sajad, Bill, Babu. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, let's get right to it. Like I said before, welcome back to our closing bell presentation with us today. Today, we have a new guest with us. We have Steve Gomez from Trade Ideas. He is their senior educator there. So what Steve will be presenting with us today is exactly the title of his webinar. It's time to forget what you know about the stock market because it is wrong. So what Steve is presenting to us today is what Trade Ideas' primary focus is, and it is a specific scanner that can work not just with day trading, but also swing trading and long-term investing as well. So he wants to not just forget about tech analysis, he wants to enhance upon that. So that's exactly what he'll be presenting here with us today. So what you're going to be learning is essentially not just about his scanner, but you're going to learn about real statistical analysis. You're going to learn about applying the scientific method to trading, and that's exactly what Steve is here to present with you here today. Steve's been with Trade Ideas since 2003. He was one of the first adopters of their scanning platform. So, Steve, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Steve. The floor is all yours.
Perfect. Great. So I assume everybody can see my screen. Thanks for showing up today. Going to maybe take a look at a different approach to the stock market than we're normally associated or accustomed to using our eyes. We're going to talk about, exposing some hidden alpha and a different way to maybe extract some hidden alpha. This is a great chart, but it'll make more sense as I move forward into the presentation. We'll hit on that chart again, but it was a good title slide. Before we get into any of the nuts and bolts, just a quick disclaimer, this typical disclaimer to let you guys know I'm here as a content publisher, bringing some ideas and showcasing some technology, and anything you see or hear should not be construed as investment advice. If you're looking for financial investment advice specific to your needs, you got to go to the licensed guys and the RIA guys that charge you a fee, and they'll probably put you in an index fund and go play golf. But nonetheless, I'm here to just be a content provider and maybe open up your eyes to something new and different. I'm going to go ahead and hit send in the chat window. This is the link that you see at the bottom of this first slide. It's kind of our thank you for showing up today. A little tchotchke you can take back with you. It's called our trade of the week. Every weekend we go through the Trade Ideas technology and curate a decent strategy. Long always, we never go short. Typically it's always going to be a long strategy type of a trade in your email box before Monday opening bell. And we do that every week. We have a little bit of a synopsis and then a write-up and some content as to why the trade was chosen, and some charts and some ideas as to what the risk management would do. This week was a good week. The trigger happened yesterday. It was First Solar. I can show you a chart later, but if you're sitting there typing on your charts, you guys can see First Solar yesterday morning triggered as the trade of the week, and it's certainly fully intact right now as a good trade, producing some alpha. So if you want to get on that email list, trade-ideas.com/cyberu, we'll catalog you guys as coming from here, and we'll get you on the regular Trade of the Week webinar Monday mornings in your email box. So pretty happy about the way this week has been working out with the First Solars. Let's take another look. Okay, quick bio. Who are you talking to? My name's Steve Gomez. I've been trading since '95. Just as it says, I'm actually user number 3 in the Trade Ideas system. I've known the CEO and the CTO since '98. And they came to me in the middle of the night when they started this company and said, Steve, we need some ideas for some really cool custom scans. Could you give us some if-then scenarios that you would love to see? And I said, well, yeah, sure, great. So I did, and those scans are still in the system to this day. So it's been a great relationship ever since. I've been using their product since day one. So it's 14 years in the making. A little bit more about me. I adopted YouTube in 2008 under S. Gomez 858 on YouTube and started doing live trading videos, desktop sharing, showed winning days and also showed losing days and discussed the losing days. And people really seem to enjoy the losing days more than the winning days because we can all relate and how to deal with them and how to try and make them not so losing and so difficult the next time around. And then after a few years of doing our desktop sharing, Andy Lindloff, who's also at Trade Ideas and an educator, he and I were approached to head up what they called Ditto Trade account. It was a technology that there was an upstart, great technology. They were a broker dealer and a technology platform. So you had to open up your account with Ditto Trade as the broker dealer, where we had our account. And essentially, they signed a bunch of documents and attached their account to ours. So it was a true mirrored account that we traded for a good 3.5 years. And people loved it. You know, it was a one big block trade account. If we were bidding 500 or 1,000, well, all of our followers made that like a $30,000 or $40,000 block account. So we were able to move through the market. People could detach off of our trade once it was initiated if they wanted to work the back end themselves, or they would just keep attached and let us do the work for them. So we outperformed the S&P over the course of 3.5 years pretty handily. That was fun, but the Ditto Trade technology was, like I said, a startup. It's no longer around. And so back here, just helping out Dan and the guys at Trade Ideas. Again, this is a company since 2002, 14 years of creating innovation and technology, not by just technology and coder guys. You know, these are traders. The traders that we have on staff here, you know, myself, Dan, Jamie, Andy, Brad, I mean, we're totaling almost 90 or 100 years combined trading experience. So we're not trying to build tools for traders. We're traders building tools for traders. So big point to be made there. Now, early in the years, the business was built successfully by selling the tools to business, to brokerage firms. The product is currently embedded in Scottrade. It's embedded in E-Trade. It's a part of eSignal and Lightspeed. We have also connected to StockTwits, which is one of our filters that we can manage on the certain amount of mentions that are happening on social media to get people interested that something is happening on a particular stock. So more metrics than just your typical volume and other things. We're connected to social media. But a few years ago, our focus really became back to retail. So we made a big pivot from business to business a few years ago, and now we're going very hard to business to consumer, sharing our products with the retail people on a one-by-one basis. So, you know, my job today is to really kind of help you see the forest through the trees. You know, trading can be extremely messy, comprehensive, intimidating. There's a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of lights. You know, if you're in chat rooms, sometimes a lot of people talking about different things. But, you know, one of the best things you can try and do is really simplify a method down that works for you. And I'm going to show you how we can try and use some of these tools here to simplify down to some basic, simple strategies. This is a slide that you know, Dan put together, and the theory behind this is the evolution of the way we think. I mean, what we're going to show you here today is something that's brand new and outside the box, and it's not really adopted by the majorities yet. The people that are using our AI technology, for instance, they're very much early adopters. So, you know, if we go back to just a simple scenario in life of, like, you know, trying to get from A to B on a map, you know, way back when, we used to just go, you know, ask the guy on the corner as the crow flies, and how do we get there? And then we started using Thomas Brothers and printed maps. And then we started to get GPS in our car to start to give us some ideas about where we are and where we might want to get. But we're kind of looking at TI, Trade Ideas AI, as your Google navigation to basically help you move to a better set of profits and a better ability to create some alpha using technology. So, you know, this slide is not meant to be an insult, but we're not as good at picking out trades that we think are likely to work or not. We see things with our eyes, we see support resistance, but we're not seeing really a lot of the data behind the scenes and under the surface. And that's where, you know, the technology comes in as AI. Now, you know, one of the reasons, here's some of the things that can stand in the way of trading. And we all know what this feeling is like when you've got real money on the line. You know, things start to creep into change your plan, change your game plan that you had. You start to second guess yourself, and ego starts to step in. You start redrawing your stop lines lower, emotions, fear, greed, panic. To sell the stock too early because we fear the stock's going to run without us, rather than being the opposite. We should be fearing not being in that stock to continue the stock to let those things run. So there's many battles that we fight as human beings, with our emotions. Matter of fact, I have a story back when I first started trading and met Dan in the late 90s in a prop trading floor. There was a guy in there who was an attorney, and he's just not a good trader. He did not have a good open mind. He would continue to argue his point. His ego stood in the way, and then it occurred to me one day, poor guy, I felt bad for him. He was an attorney, and he spent years in law school learning how to argue one side and try and squash the other side, and that never really is a good foundation, in my opinion, as a personality. You've got to approach trading as an open mind and be flexible and be willing to change on a dime. So, the ability to try and bring in a technology to overcome our ego, our fear, and see something that's working in real time that doesn't use emotions and ego and fear and greed and things like that. So in order to do that, it takes our AI a lot of practice. And, I've seen a lot of people in our open house that we had this week, and they're eager to learn about trading. But as you guys know, trading is a huge learning curve, and there's just not much that can be taken in 1 week or 2 weeks. I mean, it took me 6 months really before I started to see the forest through the trees, as I felt, in terms of all the mechanisms and the moving parts that are going on in the market. So, it takes practice, 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 and of course the idea is to practice as much as we possibly can, because chance favors the prepared mind. And we all know that, driving range is a great place to practice for golf. Golf's a great metaphor for trading. But, doing homework, setting price alerts, trying to make our mistakes cheap is obviously the best course of action for new traders. But practice, it's practice, practice, practice is what it takes. And the AI has the ability to do what we cannot do overnight, in the middle of the night, talking millions of trades, millions of back trades, millions of reconfigurations. And so obviously, how can you analyze a million unique trades to find a handful of trades that you should look at today without staying up all night, or, and honestly, without staying up for 3 months probably? We just can't. So we're taking technology to the next level, which is machine learning. And the machine learning is our trade ideas AI, and it uses statistics and odds of possible outcomes, analyzing millions of trade scenarios overnight. So the next day we get a nice starting lineup of some strategies and some scores that, for lack of a better word, gives us kind of a card count. And we're not in a casino, so we can't get kicked out of the market like they'll kick us out of the casino, but that is what we're pointing towards here. And this is our latest and greatest tool. I'm going to go over our desktop here in a minute and show you some of our tools for sure, but the AI is the most interesting tool to come along, and it's our newest tool. And so here's a quick graph of the AI's performance in total points generated. Back in January 1st, we basically launched the AI, and this blue line here, as you can see, for the most part is the flat S&P that we've had basically for the year. I think we're up $6 for the year for the most part. You might even notice this little dip right here. This was the Brexit back in the summertime, the Brexit volatility that the market briefly got hung up on. But notice the AI didn't really get caught up in that Brexit. I mean, this is a great visual demonstration of how, when the odds are not in favor, the AI will not trigger. The AI is not going to trigger a trade just because it feels like it or it hasn't made a trade in a while. It's unemotional. It's only going to fire a trade if the odds and the statistics are backing it up. So one of the first things that was interesting to note was the volatility in the markets was literally, there was a couple of days here where Holly didn't even take a trade. Holly, by the way, is the code name that we give our AI. We've given her a persona. But it was very interesting back during this time, very few trades, maybe one trade on one day, two trades on another, and I think a couple other days there were zero trades. But until that volatility worked itself out of the market, our AI saw no statistical advantage to make a trade. So, in that respect, Jesse Livermore said, the real money wasn't always made in the market, it was made sitting and avoiding the treacherous periods. So Holly is a great demonstration of how when not to press it up and how when not to trade based on current market volatility. And then just a little history. Right around here, we started to add some additional risk management parameters to the AI, some new strategies, and it's been learning and growing and really making a nice departure from the flat S&P in terms of the aggregate trade since day one in terms of dollar value. So it's a nice visual chart to show you, what's been going on with our AI. So let's talk a little bit before I show you the platform. Let's talk a little bit about how machine learning works. And I took this from a really interesting link that I don't think I have a copy of it at the moment. I could drop that link in there, but if I can remember at the end of the day, I will. It's talking about machine learning, and this is R2D3. It's RPART. It's a basic open source machine learning program for artificial intelligence. And when we see charts with our eyes, we see something different. When the machine learning sees charts, they see data points, and they see them in scatter blotters like this, where they can start to break down parameters and certain levels of boundaries. And at that point, once those boundaries and once those data points have been set and designed, they start to build decision trees. And these forks and decision trees start to work down and build towards a possible score. So what's happening is every evening, there's about 35 strategies the artificial intelligence has to go through and backtest, and it will make backtest after backtest and change a few filters, change a few time of days, maybe change even a market filter that says, hey, this short strategy will not fire unless the S&P has a red 15-minute candle. So there are many, many what ifs and what could be's. But then once the AI over the evening gets a final score for all of the strategies that are looking good, we have to dump the data through the scoring. And what this particular slide shows is this very bottom score down here was the score that the AI first came up with. Let me just quickly explain. If we feed the AI a strategy that has, say, 3,000 trades in there, those 3,000 trades, data points that the AI can go back and see how they would have worked out and kick out the bad ones and try and improve on the good ones. But once the AI gets to that point and has its final score, that's not the score that the final AI is going to use. What we need to do is run it through again on a virgin pool of data. So if 3,000 trades were submitted to Holly for evening backtesting, about 2,300 of those trades are going to be used as our sample data, and maybe 700 of those trades will be set aside as out of sample or test data. So once the machine scores and creates all the filters and the strategies the way that it believes to be, the data gets run through yet a second time, and that's that top layer here. And the top layer really is the final score that I'll show you how the AI uses the next day to make sure that we're just not using curve fitting to try and get the exact perfect scenario for just those data points. The idea is to see is how well does that strategy do on a fresh set of untested data points. So that's a quick shot in machine learning and how the AI that we use every evening goes through all that it does. Now that's pretty complex, and I want to just back up a little bit and just remind people that when they do try trade ideas, literally it's a quick download. It's a minute to install. It's installed onto your web directly onto your desktop, and that's it. You can be up and running. We have this thing called a channel bar, which I will demonstrate. So you don't have to start immediately grabbing a blank slate and start doing alerts from scratch. We have a wonderful array of predefined channels, and we'll show you how you can make those work to your advantage. Great response. You know, the people are just really enjoying the product. It's a very popular product. Just a couple of nice quick endorsements there of people that have used the product. And one of the firm reasons I believe that people are really enjoying it is we have a really strong onboarding and concierge system here. We don't just, you know, take your money and say, here's the download and go for it. We actually have 4 webinars a week that touch on different things. We have one on Mondays. We have 2 on Wednesdays. And we have one again on Thursdays, all kind of focusing on the different aspects of trading and how to use the software. And most importantly, there's 2 more items. First, you get a one-on-one training session. So if you sign up for just 1 month minimum, you know, we recognize it's a comprehensive program, and trading is very subjective. It's an art form, and everybody wants to approach it differently. So we sit down with you and give you a one-on-one full 1 hour desktop sharing, go through everything that you need to know and help you get set in the right direction, and even share a few scans with you just to get it going. So that in itself is a great value add for those who at least sign up for one month minimum. It's great feedback. People are so appreciative. After 1 hour, they feel like they've got a really good handle and a direction to go. And then lastly, this may look familiar too, but we have an Omnovia room run by Barry Einerson, who is our moderator trader. So we're using the room to demonstrate the Trade Ideas product in real time, how it's used. It's a free room. It's a great community, a lot of good people, a lot of help. We have a technical support help where people will actually jump in and help other users with certain situations and certain issues. So very proud of our community. Yeah, it's you know, great deal. Subscriber growth, this would be the last slide I put up again, just to kind of substantiate everything I've just been talking about. This is when we were talking about going business to business with our E-Trade customers and Scottrade customers, and then the marketing machine started to kick in to retail and focusing our product on retail. This arrow right here signifies basically when the AI product came out, and I think there's a pretty obvious correlation there to consider, you know, why the subscriber growth is going so much. All right, we have hundreds of people in the live trading room, the TI room. They come and go throughout the day, but a lot of great people, a few hundred of them, solid group. And as a thank you for registering, again, we'll get back to that. We already talked about that. I'll kick on that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off the slideshow, and let's take a look at the actual product here. What you're looking at is what I call my default layout. You know, this has everything on here that I would like to use and I've created and I've built from scratch. But as I said, we don't need to necessarily start like that. We can start very quickly if somebody's signing up for a premium service and all they're interested in is Holly, the AI. Well, we have a channel right here where you'll see everything that just left my default layout went to a new static layout that was pre-configured. So there's no need to really come in and have to configure anything. The theme itself will take care of that. This is the AI, and I'll come back and talk about the AI and how we read it and use it. Pre-market channel, you'll see now that we have an interesting pre-market focus where we see stocks that are getting ready to gap up, getting ready to gap down, and these will freeze, you know, once the market opens, and these gaps will basically stay in place. So these are very interesting windows to be used pre-market. We have a pre-market mover, seeing things that have unusual volume, moving pre-market up, new highs, new lows, things like that. The social media that I mentioned, we are tied directly to stock twits, and just like volume shows interest in a stock, well, sometimes unusual social media mentions will start to show interest in volume in a stock, and so this can be an interesting channel to kind of see what the crowd's talking about today. Surge channel is a wonderful channel for people who really like to play scalp momentum, quick in, quick out, because these are things that have, for instance, if I just right click configure here on this particular window, we have a metric called volume today, 1 minute volume, 5 minute volume. So in this particular case, it's showing 1 minute volume filter is a minimum of 500%. So usually when something's happened and buyer jumps in or news or something's going on, the surge is going to show up in the metrics of our volume first. Because what's cool about Trade Ideas is, we have a dossier or a database on all U.S. equities that are out there. And we can break those down in table form on the back end. So we know what the average daily volume is. We know what the relative volume is what that stock should be doing at this time of day versus every other day, same stock. We know what a stock should be doing for a 5-minute candle volume. In this case, 300% is the minimum for 5-minute, and 500% of normal is the minimum for 1 minute. So when you see a surge volume, this is the kind of configuration you start to do to show something coming in extremely quickly, extremely fast. And again, that's just the theme for that particular one. We do have an options channel for people that are interested in options. There's some great tools here to monitor extreme flow of puts and calls above the normal amount of contracts that you would see, put call ratios, anything that's unusual in the volume world, you're going to be able to probably see it on the particular options channel. I mean, we can continue to go down. There's more. There's the sectors channel, which is interesting. If you want to know where the money's flowing today, biotech was having a good day, and it looks like down here it was a rough day for broker dealers and networking and tech. Let's see. Let me just show you a quick little trick here. So let's just stop on this. We're on this channel, and switching back and forth from channels, it's okay, but I prefer to have everything on my one default layout, the way it looked like when we first opened up the meeting. And a lot of people like the stuff that's on this channel, or these channels, plural, but they can't make any changes to them. Every time they come back to the channel, it's static for everybody else. But here's a little clue, and it uses what we call the cloud. We have a cloud feature which allows us to do a few things. Primarily, it allows people in our live trading room to come in and actually get a copy of a scan. How would we give somebody a copy of a scan? Well, you just right-click inside the window of interest, save or share to cloud. If I wanted to share it, I'd click this button. It would put it on my clipboard, and I could drop it into a chat window or an email or what have you. But right now, I'm going to use the cloud to save a copy of this alert that I really like. So by doing that, I'm essentially perusing through the channels here and taking the alerts that I like and that I think are interesting. Then I can bring them back to my default layout. So if I load layout here, I just want to get back to my default. I have no idea what that error is. It keeps popping up. And we get back to my layout here with a couple of charts. I actually use that sector analysis religiously, and there it is, and that's where I found it. I'll pop it up and then take a look at it and minimize it. So not necessarily everything that I have is on this screen. Some of the stuff's are on other screens. Some of the stuff is minimized. But that's how I choose to use it. Now, we have two different types of alerts. Basically, the very first alert that we ever had was called an A window. And an A window basically gives you an algorithm. In this case, it's crossing above the resistance. So that's our event. And it also has filters, but it gives us timestamp and date stamp. We can double click those and get a quick look at where the blue arrow was, showing us at the end of the day this was the last alert on the chart that came through. But an A window is a little different than a T window. A T window stands for top list, and these refresh every 30 seconds. And what's nice about these refreshing every 30 seconds based on the filters that we have is we can sort by whatever we want. A lot of times we'll sort by relative volume to see what's the most interesting stock that comes to the top based on volume. But this particular scan is looking for a trend change. And I'm sorting this one by short float percentage along with the short float. So right off the bat, this thing has become very interesting to me. Let's just double click on this. And I was giving this one out a week ago in my Wednesday webinar 8 days ago. I double clicked WAC down here because the metrics were showing 46% short out of 18 million shares. That's just not a lot of float. But these are the types of alerts that this particular scan is looking for. It's called the trend change. And it's looking for stocks that are breaking their downtrend and then moving higher. But the extra secret sauce in something like this is knowing that if I look at this level right here and I set an alert, which we did with that green line, we use what we call price alerts. We right click, set an alert, pop it in there, and then when the trade does fire, this price alert window will pop up and show us the trade fired and triggered, so we'll never miss a trade. But back here, I was saying, this is going to be an interesting level. If this trade gets above, if we fall back on these metrics that this is showing us, huge short float, very small amount of float shares, there's a good chance this thing could blow through and create some nice alpha through that particular pivot level. And it did. And it looks like it may still want to. Had a nice recovery today. But, if I was one of the people that was short 46% of a small float, I would not be feeling really comfortable right here. So this is an example of one of the strategies and scans that we use using a top list. And this top list is just going to update every 30 seconds. But again, we have alert windows that can show us alerts in real time as well. And those are simply built by a new alert window. This is our configuration window. This is the bread and butter of how we talk to trade ideas. And if you haven't seen this window, I'm going to show you a little trick. What you do is you just go into the search tab here, and everything that you see in green and red that's colorized, those are the events, meaning an event that was quantified in real time with a price stamp and a time stamp. So new high, new low, cross above, cross below, big block, whatever you want. So if you see when I scroll down here, pretty slow, there is a tremendous, tremendous amount of options to choose from. Now we're getting into these purple and blue squares. These are our filters. We'll talk a little bit more about those as we go forward. So what I tell a lot of people to do, if they're a little overwhelmed or concerned of, does trade ideas offer this, does trade ideas offer that, what you do is you go to this search term here. And if you guys want to fire in search terms of curiosity in the chat room, go ahead. I'll just start by saying, what does trade ideas offer with RSI? Type in RSI. Now we have a drill down into every filter that you have that's related to RSI. Okay, well, what does trade ideas have in the way of Bollinger Bands? Type in keyword Bollinger. Here's all of our filters based with Bollinger Bands. Do we have an engulfing candle? We do have some engulfing candles. Thank you, Alice. I know you knew the answer to that one. Do we have standard deviations? Yeah, we've got some standard deviations. Do we have VWAP? Everybody loves VWAP. Yeah, here's what we have for VWAP. Well, what about support? R resistance and things like that. Cross above daily support. We have that. I forgot what they call those. Pivot. Thank you. Pivots, distance from pivot, R1, R2, S1, S2. These, what I'm showing you here are very common verbiage and keywords from traders, in the industry. Volume. We have way too many tricks on volume. We can scan for a numerous amount of prints, maybe one big volume increase. Average daily volume, I'll tell you what, every single one of your filters has to have one of these three: 5-day, 10-day, 3-month average, because if you don't put a minimum volume average in here, say 200 or 300,000, you're going to start getting a lot of junk coming through, and you don't want to see stocks that trade 17,000 shares a day come through. So this is where you really start to filter out the volume. Relative volume, I mentioned earlier. I just quickly want to hit on this. This is one of the more popular volume scans that we use. And it basically means, what is the stock doing in volume now relative to what it normally does for this time of day? So if it's 10 o'clock East Coast time, the market just opened and stock XYZ is doing 200,000 shares normally, that's what it normally does, that'd be a value of 1. But at 10 o'clock East Coast time, if stock XYZ was doing 400,000 shares, well, that's going to be a value of 2. And that starts to get interesting. It shows us that stocks that are moving above their normal run rate of volume throughout the day. It kind of helps us identify things that we might have otherwise missed. So the A window is a great window. The top list window, real quick, let me just show you the simplest form of how I found a chart like this. Imprint on this daily chart. What's going on here, Steve? This thing's been beat up to hell, but yeah, it has started to find a nice rounded bottom. Okay, here's an interesting pivot point right here we can identify. And then going back, like I said, the short float. Well, let me show you how I find a chart that looks like this, where I can evaluate to see if they do have short floats. Some of them I don't care about. They don't have big short floats, but some of them do, and this is a really nice looking poster child for the way this particular scan should work. So if I right click and configure, there's really only 3 things going on here of interest, and we're going to learn a little bit about filters here as I do this. window-specific filters. The first one says change from the close, and it's a %, and this is our minimum category. And if we just press this show me button here, we get a narrative that says the price was up at least 1% from previous close. Okay, so that's our first category. These stocks on this window have to all be up at least 1%. If any time throughout the day they don't and they drop off, the stock symbol is going to drop off that list until it comes back and satisfies all the filters on here. It's all or none. So the second thing of most interest is what we call position and range. Now we have a position and range feature for just about every time frame. A position and range for a 1 minute, 10-minute candle, 30-minute, 60-minute, 1 day, 5 day, 20 day. I can go on and on. But in this particular case, we're going to back way up and say position and range for the year. So if we look at position and year range, I'm wanting to identify stocks that are beaten up. So I go to the maximum column here and consider a 0 would equal a 52-week low, 100 would equal a 52-week high. So if I put a 35 in the maximum column here, I'm suppressing everything that's more than 35% off of its 52-week lows. So that's why all these charts look beaten up, because they're down in their lower 1/3. If it was more than 35% off this low, it would not come through the scan. But then we come right back and we overlay it with a second range, but this one is only a 20-day range. So again, 0 would equal 20-day low, 100 would equal a 20-day high. We are suppressing everything under 90%. We're finding things that are close to making a new 20-day high. And so that's where we start to get on this chart here, this basing and turning back up as it makes a new 20-day high. So this brings it to our attention, but then still we have to look at this top list here and find the stocks. Let's see, this AMAG has 30% short of 12 million shares. Not a big float. Well, is there anything of interest in here? Well, there very well could be. I mean, again, same kind of a chart that we just looked at, but if we could identify a pivot level that might make some sense, you know, something like this might require a bit more patience. So I would just draw like an orange line here to show you that might be the line that I would look to set a price alert down the road. And if it ever triggered 2-3 weeks from now, it would pop up at me just like that, highlight it, and show me that I had liked it at one time, and then I can make that trade. So that's one way to really try and simplify things, finding stocks that you like that just quite aren't ready yet, but giving yourself the ability to have you be alerted when that does happen. All right. There's another really cool function that Trade Ideas has, and it's a good segue to the AI, but it's called the backtesting module, and we've had it for a while. The backtesting module works on the A windows only, alert window, because we have a timestamp and we have a price stamp in real time. So those two data points will get us to some interesting metrics if we start to want to backtest. So just a quick exhibition here on the backtest module. This particular horseshoe up did not fire any trades today. This thing averages about 1 trade a day, and I'll show you that. So on any A window, for our premium users, we right-click and we go to the backtest strategy. Well, now we're in this backtesting module, and what I essentially can do, and I've already optimized it for saving time. Basically, I know that it does not work very well. This is Pacific Coast time, by the way, so before you guys wonder what my time frame is here, I'm on California time. So 7 o'clock is a 10 o'clock time. And this particular strategy really does not like the first 30 minutes. As you guys are aware, there's a lot of noise, a lot of craziness in the first 30 minutes. So this particular strategy really needs to let that first 30 minutes kick out. And then after my 9 o'clock, which is noon Eastern, that's when the strategy stops working. So I already know that this is an interesting time window, this 2-hour window for this strategy to work only. And it's coded with a filter to only show me those strategies between those times. But let's quickly back test it. Here's our first module, which is when do you want to start testing and when do you want to finish testing. So we'll do it as such. The time to exit, we could hold for the rest of the day if we wanted. We could hold for just 90 minutes if we wanted, or maybe 120. Let's just do 120 and see what happens with that. Risk management, pretty basic. You know, I like to risk maybe 2 to make 6%. So that's a typical 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio, risking 1 to make 3%. So we'll keep it at that on the percent. So if either one of these two things happens on the back test, the system will pull the stop out at a 2% loss, or it will categorize a 6% target move as a nice profit. Advanced, we'll go ahead and sample maybe 45 trading days. We can go up to many more, but 45 is always just a decent area. And then this is our summary of what we're going to do. So we're going to sample between these times, and this is a buy strategy, and we're going to hold it for 119 minutes. So if I hit simulate buy, what it's doing is it's saying what would happen if you bought that strategy between those times a day and held for 120 minutes. How would it have performed in the long run? And then we get what we call this performance chart. Now this is a step forward towards AI, which I'm going to finish up with, but this is the module, the engine that the AI is built on. What I'm doing here right now is I am just doing it manually. I could go back and optimize and try and find out what the best price levels are. Is there a better time of day that this works? Oh, maybe these, oh, you know what? Looks like this strategy seems to be dying after 819. So I could go back and run this strategy and then cap it after 819 because recently these two trades haven't been working really well. I can go back and look at other filters based on the gap, the stocks that gapped up the most. How did they perform? The relative strength, relative volume, RSI. What I'm doing here real quickly is what the AI is constantly doing and then cutting the fat off of the steak to try and optimize to get the best of the filters to get whittled down to a strategy that basically fires only once a day, but has a really nice risk-reward ratio. It's got a profit factor of 5, 64.6% win percentage. So this profit factor and these win percentages, these are what become translated into the AI. So let's go ahead and close that. And let's take a look. Okay, the AI is basically the parent window right here. This is it. And as I mentioned, there was probably 35 strategies or so that go through that machine learning thing that I showed earlier every evening. And then they are run. And then, as I said, they are moved over to the test data, the virgin sample test data that has never seen a run. And one single run goes through that test data, and these are the scores that come out the next day. So we had a lot of strategies today, basically. Not all of them fired. This one, you got what I need, never even fired. This one, Shake Your Moneymaker, had 2 trades for a loser. But up here at the top, you know, this was 1 trade for a winner, 3 trades, 100%, 2 trades on that strategy, 100%, 8 trades on this strategy. And look at this. This is kind of interesting. 8 trades is a decent amount of data. Finished the day off at 75% win percentage. Is a short strategy. And look at here. It came into today with a winning percentage strategy of 75.8 and a profit factor of 3. So it kind of pulled its weight today. It did what we had hoped it would do. So this is the parent window of our AI. And again, it shows you every different strategy. We can look at all the different metrics, long or short, obviously. The names of the strategy usually kind of give away a little bit as to what they do, but they don't give a great description. We kind of keep that close to the vest. The time stop. So for instance, this particular strategy, first to the party, has a time stop of 60 minutes. So after 60 minutes, the AI Holly will actually close that trade down. But it also has a smart stop of to be determined. It's an algorithm that it uses to determine the volatility based on that particular stock, a profit target of 75 cents. So every single one of these, look at these like a different player, you know, sitting on a college basketball bench, and these are their statistics coming into the game. And at the end of the day, we can kind of see that the AI pulled $1.22 out of the market with all the trades that went through. Some were long, some were short, some worked better than others. But we look at this as just a great teaching tool that I wish I had back in the early days, where I could look down and see an unemotional robot maybe fire off 6 or 7 short trades in a period of 5 or 6 minutes, and all of a sudden the market starts to roll over and follow in that same direction. It's kind of interesting. I tell people not to get too hung up on all the individual trades that come through, but maybe more so on direction at times, because directional indicators can be really interesting when you see Holly at 10 o'clock in the morning come out and fire about 5 or 6 shorts. Many times that can be a great directional hint as to what direction you want to go. Let's see, you can monitor by closed trades or open trades or all trades. It's a very unique, new, early adopted technology. It's only been around 10 months, and it just seems to be getting stronger and stronger as we go. But this particular tool right here, we look at like counting cards. Again, these are our card counting strategies. The one that we looked at earlier, 75%, actually cranked that off today, 75% win percentage. 75% win percentage, but that still means, there's a 25% chance the trade won't work. So we're not here saying this is the golden goose that's going to just lay everybody a golden egg. But what it is it's a statistically probable alert system to let you know in real time, hey, I really like this stock in this direction. Take it if you want. Here's how long I'm going to stay in. And then we tell people it's not always so much following exactly what Holly does on the in and the out. There are times when certain trades are going to continue to work. This was a short selling trade today, which basically was initiated right here. Okay, get the horizontal line. Holly took 66 cents out of it, but for those that didn't want to get out early, because you'll see here, exit reason, time, stop, probably was only a 60-minute hold. But anybody that trades and can read charts is looking at this saying this could be some more follow through to the downside. It actually made $1.94 going into the end of the day. So the risk off column shows you where Holly sold. The risk on column shows you what would happen had the trade continued to move in the direction, and that will close at the actual market bell. So, any questions on this? I've been kind of rambling on here for about 50 minutes. I thought I'd save at least 5 minutes for a couple questions. I've shown you a lot. I do see a few familiar names in here. But if anybody else, has a question on this type of technology and how the AI works going forward, fire away. Barry is the best teacher I have seen. Yes, Barry is the moderator in the live trading room. Thank you, Richard. I fully agree. Barry has a special talent of being able to trade his own account profitably, show people how he's doing it, why he's doing it, and then demonstrate the trade ideas technology and how he found it. And then in between all that, answer probably 300 questions throughout the day, which he's got the patience of a saint. And so he's the perfect guy for our live trading room, and does a great job. And if anybody was to try our product for 1 month, again, with the one-on-one free training we give you, that's a really nice value add after 30 days. And that one-on-one, if you're not sure if you want the product, then at least you've given it the old college try and you've made a good decision. But during that time in our live trading room, there's a lot of good information going on. You'll even see people like, hey, I'm trying to figure out a scan that's, breaking down on a 5-day low, but I just can't figure out how to tweak the volume. Somebody might jump in there and help you and share a scan with you. And again, the cloud sharing allows us to easily share scans between us. I think I had mentioned earlier, I grabbed that load from cloud. I had grabbed that sector analysis from the channel bar, forgot to finish the exercise, load, there it is. So the takeaway, guys, is you can go into any one of these channels. If you see anything you like, right click it and save it to the cloud, and then you can bring it into your own mix. So any other questions? Again, we're here every day in the live trading room, 4 webinars a week. I wanted to give you again, the opportunity to sign up for the trade of the week, which is not that. I was going to plug that in there, but well, I'll just plug that in there. That's what a cloud code would look like. I don't know if it went through or not. Maybe it didn't go through because it was a link. But yeah, fire away. We've got a few more minutes here. Any questions on this property, on this technology? 4 webinars with great teachers chasing alpha. Yes, thank you, Richard. We're trying to uncover stuff that you're just not normally going to see on CNBC's Fast Money, what they're talking about. Sure, Apple will pop up on here. Sure, big caps will pop up on here. But every now and then, some interesting stuff will pop up on here. And it's a stock chart that you may have never seen before, but you got to put your trader's hat on and say, boy, I know Holly day traded that stock, but that's a pretty good looking stock chart. It's breaking out. I might want to keep this one overnight, or maybe I'll sell half with Holly. But the whole point is you've got somebody riding shotgun with you. And let's say you're long and you're a little nervous. and all of a sudden Holly's had no trades, and you're starting to think, oh boy, what's going on? The market's at an inflection point here. I'm long this and I'm long that. They're not Holly trades, they're your own trades. But all of a sudden Holly spits out 3 or 4 longs really quickly. I mean, it's a nice comforting factor to have the unemotional robot backing you up, knowing that that robot's not making trades or trading recommendations just because she feels like it. There is a certain statistical reason. So we're always trying to really stay on the path of least resistance using the trade ideas technology. And Holly doesn't see charts the way we see charts. I showed you that example earlier on machine learning. There's a lot of data plots and data points going in under the scene that create probabilities and statistical anomalies that Holly makes use of. So it's been a very busy week. Normally Holly only makes, maybe 15, 20 trades a day, but I think she had about that many today. So it's been an interesting week for the open house people. We had a free day, 5-day free $8 trial that's been going on this week, and they've been getting a real eyeful and a near full and a big learning curve, and a lot of the people in the live trading room has certainly helped us out. So this we fully believe is a technology that's going to continue to advance. I mean, anything you hear about AI out there, there's a great story on 60 Minutes on how Watson is now starting to look at cancer, and oncologists are scratching their heads because Watson is finding 30% more cure measures for certain types of cancer patients. And AI is here to stay, and we are the premier artificial intelligence technology geared towards retail. There might be some other stuff out there, but they're probably in multi-million-dollar ivory towers and hedge funds. But we're the only one that we know of that's bringing this type of technology directly to the masses. So, one more time, I just wanted to bring up the special thank you for, what we have. If you guys have any more questions, fire away. But to get into to the trade of the week, which again was First Solar. If you take a look at your charts, you'll see it was a pretty good move in First Solar. Trade-ideas.com/cyberu will get you on that mailing list. And occasionally we do have specials. We do have some promo codes that come through for some great deals to try AI or to try Trade Ideas for just 1 month or a year. So you'll be kept abreast of that as well. But I'd love to see as many of you guys sign up for the trade of the week as possible. Any questions going forward? I am Today Trader on Twitter. Been around, like I said, since 2008, so got a pretty good following. Most of them are probably bots, but I accept that. Dan is Trade Ideas 1. Dan is the CEO of Trade Ideas and also has some interesting tweets to give out. You can find us on Facebook.com, Trade Ideas Pro. Any basic questions, just go ahead and hit them up with me, Steve at trade-ideas.com. Our main intake is info@trade-ideas, and based on the question or the technical support or account question or feature request, that will be routed to the correct person. So I thank you very much for letting me have an hour of you guys' time. First Solar, I might as well just put First Solar up there. This is not only was it the trade of the week, but it's kind of similar to what we were talking about, guys, on the trend change lubricant. First Solar only has 19% short. It looks like 16% short the float, excuse me. But nonetheless, a really nice identification of a lower inverse head and shoulders, which is pretty old school tech right there. All we really did was come in and identify this green line right here was the trigger for the trade of the week. So everybody that took the trade of the week off this trigger, this is the 2 candles that you're looking at. I fully expect to see some more follow through. There was a couple other stocks that had some decent movements today in solar land. SPWR might be another one to watch. It triggered earlier as well for me, but if it can get above this level, let's just take a look at this. This is how we would do it. High of 937. We'll go 938, create price alert. 938. Found it on the trend change lubricant with 39% long. So if that triggers, I'm going to see that note. It's going to pop up in real time. I'm going to know that the 39% short contingency is not really sticking around here for this a higher low and a higher high above this line. So, you know, Trade Ideas helps steer us in the right direction, but we still have to put our trader's hat on and identify pivot levels and then use our price alert feature to make sure we don't miss it when that pops up. Again, when that pops up, it's going to do something like that, and it's going to say right there in yellow, do you want to take this trade? Here's your notes. And then if I want to take the trade, I'll log in and take it. So again, I don't see too many more questions. Maybe I'll just turn it back over to you, Greg. Is that what we do at this point? Or somebody? Is this program built into the platform or a separate program? You use TradeStation. It's a separate downloadable program, Michael E. We have a web version that does not include Holly the AI yet or the price alerts, but will be coming soon. But it is a Windows downloadable program for people that really want to use it on the Mac. You know, you can use VMware or Parallel or some sort of a boot camp to make it easier to run on Mac. But in about 2 or 3 months, I think we're going to have all of our tools online on the Trade Ideas HTML5 technology. Yeah. Yeah, Alice runs it on a Mac. She's an expert. Yeah. Is this difficult to use? Ramji, it's intimidating at first, but you know, you can't learn the whole thing in 1 week, but after hanging out in the live trading room, you know, you learn and curve is really steep. And like I said, if you do decide to subscribe, you get a full 1 hour of just your attention directly with us. And we sit down and find out what your needs and your interests are and your expert level, and just kind of custom tailor the tour to your level, whether you're an expert trying to figure out how to do something really complex, or if you're a newbie and you're just trying to get just a quick basic tour and an understanding of how this all works. You know, either way. What's the subscription? Let me go ahead and drop a pricing link just in the window there for you. It's a bit.ly link. Don't be afraid of it. It's just a tracking link, but that'll take you to the pricing. And again, if you get on the webinar Trade of the Week, I guarantee you guys we're going to be seeing some promo codes coming here that are going to knock off the rack prices pretty significantly. I think there's going to be a pretty decent Halloween promo. So if you feel like it, kick the tires for a little bit and keep an eye out, get on that Trade of the Week email, and then you will not miss any offers that come through that might say, hey, you know, save 15, 20, 25. I don't know what they're going to do, but there's going to be some pretty cool offers coming in. And you could try it for 1 month. Like I said, come in and get a one-on-one session with any of us, and then you'll know after 30 days and that promo code saving you some money, you know, whether this is something you think that might work for you. You know, another scan that I really liked, I forgot to kind of show you, is the washout bounce. Go back to a history today. This is a scan that I like to look at for stocks that are putting in hammers. You know, right there. Here is the actual hammer that this particular scan is looking for. A washout. Usually in the first half hour, stop losses are washed out. If I can find a candle that looks like this, I'm going to be interested in it most every time at the end of the day if it wants to close near highs. This was another one that actually got pushed through higher. Hope, I think we just did that one, and SPNC. So these were the only 3 that came through today, but these can be some interesting washout candles where you can hold for a few days. TCB, this candle right here, showed up on my washout bounce, and it was a great example for showing people that don't have a lot of time to trade. If you just want to log into your E-Trade account at 10 minutes to the close, pull up the washout bounce and see which ones are looking nice, looking like they want to close right here at highs, where yesterday's lows were, not too far ahead with a nice washout candle. These are things that I'm comfortable taking home for 2 or 3 days. And as you can see, it gapped up the next day and kind of drifted higher. This is what I fully expect a lot of these washout candles to do. Thank you, Alice. Standard subscription gets you access to all of our tools, the alert windows that I showed you, the chart, the channel bar. What it does not include is the ability to set the price alerts that I was doing. It does not include the back testing that we did 20 minutes ago on that back testing strategy, and of course does not include Holly the AI. So it's an entree into our tools, and sometimes people will start there and then upgrade after watching, Barry in the live free trading room, how they use Holly and get more familiar with Holly. So a lot of people do that. They'll start with standard and then move up to premium. No iPhone app as of yet. That'll happen at some point in the future. Once we get our HTML5 website built out, the iPhone, the mobile app will be another high priority. Holly is a code name. We personalized the AI, so we call her, and Holly's kind of a play on the Holy Grail. There is no Holy Grail to trading, but we want to make Holly as close as we possibly can to something along those lines. All right, is there a promo code? There's no promo code for this event other than what I gave you in the slideshow to sign up for Trade of the Week. However, when you sign up for Trade of the Week, you will get the, let me just drop that in there one more time. Hang on one second. You will get a promo code because I happen to know for a fact we are going to be doing a big end of October promo push. So one more time, tradeIdeas.com/cyberu. That will get you into the Trade of the Week. That'll get you into the email system. So you will never miss a promo opportunity that comes up. We just came off of our 5-day open house where we gave everybody access to all the tools for $8.88. It's been a big success. We've had hundreds of people doing it. So the next time we do that will be in 3 months. So probably look for like maybe a December. We're trying to do it every quarter, every 3 months or so. We did one in March, July, and October now. So keep an eye out for those in the future. But yeah, get on that emailing list to keep abreast of everything that we're offering. Can't recommend enough just trying 1 month and getting the one-on-one, and then you'll really get a good feel for how you can use this. And after 30 days, if you still don't feel like it's for you, then you cancel. But that slide I showed you earlier of our growth is it's pretty impressive. Haven't seen anything like that. That's not what we want. See, I lost all my windows. There we are. This growth right here is pretty much having to do with the support we're giving and the wonderful acceptance of the AI product. So we're real pleased about Holly, the way she's moving forward, and the continued success of the feedback that we're getting. All right, everybody, I think that's it for my hour. My hour is up. What is the Holy Grail? I don't have the Holy Grail, the Holy Grail, so to speak, but Holly, it's nice to have an unemotional robot trading right next to you. All right, I don't know if Greg was going to jump back in and play me out. If not, I really appreciate all your time. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this webinar was recorded for those that didn't make it, can be back. Love to see you guys in those webinars that we offer as well. We have 4 of them a week. I'll go ahead and do that too. I'll pop another link for just all of our webinars, not just the Trade of the Week. We have many different ones you could choose from. So I'll go ahead and pop that in there as well. It's just a different way to look at the different breakdown of webinars and see what our schedule is. Typically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. All right, well, I guess I'm going to sign off. I will stop my screen sharing, and I really appreciate, everybody coming in and taking a listen to our technology. We're real proud of it. There's not a lot of companies out there in FinTech that have 14 years of good, positive feedback and continuing to grow. So with that, I say thank you and hope to see some of you in some of our future webinars and maybe the Trade of the Week and maybe even a one-on-one session. So I'm going to close down. Have a good day. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for the feedback, guys.